Hi everyone. Uh, Welcome to this C++ course. This is our first lecture, and in this lecture, we'll study Hello World program. All right. Uh, this is a really basic program, but the concepts we'll teach in these are really important concepts. So this is a practical course. Uh, right. So let's get started. So this is our Hello World program. Let's just copy it and paste it, right? Let me zoom it a bit. All right, let's execute it. See, it is Hello World. Now, yeah, now it's correct. Its indentation is at least correct, right? See, it is printing Hello World. See, we have four parts here. It is IOStream. Now, if you don't know what I have written, this is basically a comment. A comment is something which is which is basically not executed by the C++. It is just for the reference for the developer, right? So that the developer may remember it, or if the developer wants to tell something to the fellow programmer. So you are all future programmers, right? So, or you are even programmers. So that's why I'm using comments. Now, this is namespace standard. We'll tell it in a little bit of time, right? Now it is cout. Cout means console output. What is console? This black window is your console where your output is there. Hello world, right? Where C++ shows your output is your console. Now, if you want to print something on the output screen, right? This is we use cout. This is the operator. These two are the operator. This is the end line, which means after this we have to the cursor will move to the next line. Now, for example, if I write here something, right, this space is not mandatory, right? Next line, what will happen? See, the next line is printing in the next line, right? And this there is no empty line between this line and this line. Why? Because we haven't mentioned the end line here. If we mention end line, then what will happen? You can see there is a new line. So basically it's a new line. In C, I guess you all know this. We can also use this new line here, right? But in C++ we also have another option of end line. All right. Now, uh, if you want to use multiple texts, right? If you want to use multiple things in the same line or even in a different line, we can use like this. Let's see what will happen now. This is basically a separator of for different formats of output. This is a different format. This is basically a text format. This is basically a symbol, for this time you can say it's a symbol. This is again text, this is again symbol, right? Let's see what happens. See, this is text, this is the symbol is executed. We move to the cursor move to the next line, and after that cursor printed hello, and again the cursor executed the symbol, the next line. After that the cursor printed this text, the text is next line, and after that the cursor executed the operator. Oh yeah, and that's why. Now I guess you are able to understand the meaning of cout. In C, obviously C is a case sensitive language, as you all know. This will cause error. This will and should cause error. C, using does not name a type. Using is a reserved keyword in C++. All right. Now, let's see what is this header file. Before moving to the header file, let me tell you that C++ uses semicolons, right? Just like C. All the things that work in C will work in C++. That is the true meaning of C++. The name justifies it is C++. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's examine individual open components here. This is a file inclusion preprocessor driver directive. This is hash include. Hash include will basically includes another header file or another C++ file. Right now, what is IOStream? IOStream is a header file which contains some code, right? Which contains some code. Obviously, what is cout? Obviously, what is this? What is this? All these things are already mentioned already, and some other things also. The backend thing which we don't know are present in IOStream header file, right? We have to import that code so that we could use C++ for the programming. The head function of header file is to use the internal functions. There are different header files, each for different purposes. For example, there is a header file called algorithm. This header file is responsible for you doing all algorithmic things. For example, if there are different uses in mathematics, I don't know, I don't know if you remember anything like HCF or LCM or the greatest number or different algorithms, right? Like I don't means I cannot coin the term string for now, but there are different algorithms, different functions, right? Similarly, what IOStream does? IOStream is input output stream, which means that it is this header file is used to take input, print the output, right? There are other functions also, but these two are the main functions. There is another file. This file is a special type of file. This is bit/standard C++.h. This header file contains approximately all the standard functions that are used in STL. What is STL? STL means standard template library. Alright, so this library contains many functions, many data structures, right? Like arrays, vectors, these kind of thing. You will don't worry if you are not able to understand or you are confused. Whatever arrays, what are vectors, we will see all these things later. But you can use this also. You can use this also. Basically, this will contain this not just these two, but many other header files. Means the functions these header files are providing. These two header files are providing. Only this header file will provide all the necessary functions. So it's up to you. You want to use this one or this one. Since we are using understanding the basic C++, this one will work, right? So let me delete these two files. So yeah, this is the header file which provides the cout, right? Now IOStream stands for standard input output stream. This header file contains definition of objects like scene, cout. C error means console error, error in the console window if I perform something messy, right? So this is the thing. Now what is namespace standard? Bringing the entire namespace in the current scope. So to understand this, let me erase this. Since this header file contains all the standard things like output, input, it should have it, right? But it is saying that cout is not declared in this scope. Basically, cout is not declared, but standard cout is declared. And then yeah, there are many other functions also. Let's instead of end line, what we should do, let's see. If there are any errors, no, there are no errors, right? But the thing is, for now we can say this these things, this keyword standard and then double quotes, double colon, right? This is pretty much easy, but isn't this easy to use just cout, right? To use end line. I know this maybe seems a little bit confusing first, but basically, if we don't use namespace standard, we have to put this all the way. What namespace standard does is bringing this standard into the current scope, so that we don't need to basically use this standard. Now if we bring standard to the current scope in this current file, basically in this current C++ file, we can use cout freely, right? The pronunciation obviously is cout. Now int main, this is the main function. This is the starting point of all the C++ programs. When you're basically executing this, right? When you're basically executing, like if you have this compile and run. Compilation means when your code is converted to, means basically the compiler will scan this code to see if there is any syntax error or not. Like this is a syntax error. We don't, the compiler doesn't know what is using with capital U, uppercase U, right? So to get these syntax errors and all the things, we have compiler, and after to execute that code we have runtime, right? We have executor. Basically what internally does is, let me write it here. This is your C++ code. The compiler converts it to object code, and then executor or the C++ runtime executes it, right? As simple as that. It's a basically two-step process. So that's why it is compile and run. So that's why you can see if there is one error in this program, or if there is one error here, the rest of the program will not be executed, because there is no return in C++. Now this return in there in C++ with small r. So that is the meaning of compilation, and that's why when your compiler runs the code, the starting point of all the C++ programs is your main function, right? Your main function is when your output or input, basically your console functioning begins. Your console, this console, your output screen comes into action when the main function is started. Before this there may be mapping or some sort of that, but printing output and console involvement starts with the main function. When the main function is closed, the console is also closed. Right? So when the operating system calls your program, then the execution starts from this int main. And what is the meaning of int? Int basically means integer, which means there must be returning something. We can also use void main, right? But for this time we are using int, and that's why to return something we need 0. Just mug up at this point of time. If the detail is too much overwhelming, after practice and after other explanation lectures, you will get it soon. You will understand everything. So this is cout. Cout is short for character output, right, or console output, and displays between these braces, right? Now the return keyword tells the program to return a value to the function int main. After the return statement, the execution control returns to the operating system. Yeah. Now the control, after calling this file, after executing it, control is there on this console. Right now when the console, or you can say the C++ runtime, hits this line number 10, return 0, it returns the control, it returns some value to int main, and after that, after processing all the things, after producing the desired result, the control goes back to the operating system. Hence, your program is closed. Your control returns back, right? So that's the whole thing. So this is all of your C++. You know how the C++ program execution does is, there is C++ code. The compiler converts into object code, and after the object code, the C++ runtime executes it, right? So how you will practice it, right? How you will execute it? First, you should download code blocks, right? Why I'm asking code blocks? Because the different header files, right, we'll be using later in this course, like vector, or you can say bit/standard C++, this one, right? These type of header files are by default available in code blocks, but in other IDEs you have to insert them via some process, and that process in the starting is not good for you to go through because you may be confused or you may end up doing something messy, right? So just install code blocks and execute the programs, right? So because in the starting of your C++ journey, you should keep the things simple. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you understood it, right? If you're not able to understand it, you can ask us, right? In the starting, obviously, there must these things may seem a little bit overwhelming, but don't worry, we are there for you. And if you have any doubts, you can ask us, right? We'll see you again. Thanks.